So I've been giving this week's subject a lot of thought. I always try to choose something that's relevant to those of you that are watching. Whether that's something personal that's going on in your life, or questions someone has specifically asked of me, or things that I'm seeing or hearing. And I've put it off all week, obviously, because I typically do this on Monday. I've decided to discuss the Toni Braxton issue. And the reason that is because it's something that concerns me that it was said. And I've had fellow autism parents, I've had friends and family take the opposite side of this than I have, and that's well and good. Everybody's entitled to their opinions. So I just wanted to maybe explain my feelings on why I think that saying things like this are not good. First, I wanted to preface this by saying I understand the emotional states that people go through when they have a child with a disability, especially when that diagnosis is a new diagnosis. We go through stages of grief. Blame and denial are two of those stages, and we've discussed those in the past. I get it, and I understand it. But I think what Toni said, and let me also say this, I have not read her book for a few reasons. One, I don't want to. It doesn't interest me. It's not the kind of thing that I read. I have only read what's being said about what she said and listened to a few different interviews that she has done. So I don't know 100% of the context of what she said in her book. But I'm also not judging this by what people are saying or what I'm reading and written in articles. I have watched a few clips of her addressing this issue as well, and I just have some concerns. When you blame a child for something, that's horrible, right? And we all agree with that. And she didn't do that. She didn't blame this kid. She didn't blame her son for having autism. But saying that your child is punishment to you for past things that you have done, and that you felt that that's what this could have been, that's wrong. That's not denial. That's not blame. And let's face it, let's not hide behind religion either. No child should ever feel like their parents felt having them was punishment for something. No child, disability or not, autism or not. This is a human being, a living, breathing human being that was brought into this world by no doing of their own. And sadly for him, he's got autism. And having autism is not an individual diagnosis. It affects the entire family. That would include his mother. I get the emotions and being overrun with guilt and blame and sadness and depression and denial. I get it. I understand it completely. I've been there. I've felt things. But I would never, ever, ever in my life come out and say that my child is punishment to me for something that I have chosen or something that I have done. Let's face it, this kid's going to hear this. He's going to read the book, or someone's going to tell him what she said, and maybe they'll take it out of context. Maybe it'll snowball into this horrific thing. But he's going to hear about it. And then how's he going to feel? Is it okay for us to ever say something that would make our children feel like we were punished by having kids, that it was a punishment for us? I've done a lot of wrong in my life, both as a child, an adolescent, a teenager, an adult. We all have. You live and you learn from the mistakes that you make. But the only person to blame for the mistakes that you make are yourself. You can't say something like this, something of this magnitude, and assume that everybody in the world either feels the same way or will understand what you meant if indeed you didn't mean exactly what you said. Perception is huge. And what you perceive, this whole God gave me an autistic kid to punish me for a previous abortion, how you perceive she meant that is exactly how you're going to think she meant it. It doesn't matter how she really felt. It doesn't matter what she really meant to say. It doesn't matter what feelings or emotions or life events meant for this. It just doesn't. When you are someone who is going to get national attention, she's a musician, she's famous, everybody knows who Toni Braxton is. She's an actress. She's somebody that if you say that name, I would guess most people know who she is. I would also guess there are some people who didn't realize that she had a child with autism. And that's okay. And really, this isn't even about having autism. It's about how this child's going to feel in the future. And it doesn't matter how many apologies she issues. It doesn't matter if she clarifies what she meant. It doesn't matter if she backsteps. It doesn't matter if she says it again and again and again. It was said. And people are going to take with it what they want. They're going to put their own thoughts. They're going to put their own spin on it. We're all human. That's what we do. And hearing her say it and reading it in print, it just isn't a good thing. Like I said, it doesn't... Gosh, I feel like I've got something on my face. It doesn't matter that she loves her kid. For a child to hear later on in life that their parent, at some point in their life, felt like they were a punishment to the parent, is heartbreaking. It's a feeling that no child should ever have to live with. So for all of those people who felt like I snapped to judgment, or I don't understand, or I'm heartless because I don't think that she should have said what she said, those are your opinions and you're entitled to those. And I did snap to judgment, but I didn't snap to judgment because this is an autism parent. I didn't snap to judgment because here's this celebrity. It wasn't for those reasons. It was for the child. It's heartbreaking as a child to ever feel like you're not wanted, even if it's in the past, even if it was 10 years ago or 2 years ago or yesterday. And even if today she loves him with everything that she has and she knows he's not a punishment, at one point in time, she felt that he was. And as a parent, as a daughter who doesn't really have a parent anymore, and as somebody who has been unwanted at some point in our life, there's no taking it back. The damage is done, and it's irreparable. For this child, it's going to impact him, and it's not always going to be a positive impact. So now you guys understand why I was so upset, and why I was so vocal. If you've seen some of the things that I've said, or heard some of the things that I've said, or read them, it's not because she's famous, and it's not because of autism. It's because of the effect this is going to have emotionally on this child. So I do hope that she clears it up. I hope that she's able to be heard in terms of what she meant, and this innocent child that was discussed isn't hurt by this emotionally. I fear that he is, and I fear that he will be at some point if he's not already. But that isn't what I hope for him, and that's not what I hope for her. So I hope that she learned something from how she once felt, and even if you felt that way, I would never, ever, ever, ever vocalize that I felt that way, because I would never say or do something that I think in the future at some point may impact my child in a negative way.